Welcome back to the show, the only place where we don't just read the headlines, we rip them apart and find out what is actually happening with this franchise. If you want the truth, if you want the raw, unfiltered reality of what it means to support this team, do me a favor right now, smash the like button, hit subscribe, and share this video with a friend because I guarantee you, nobody else is breaking it down like this today. Let's start with the story that is going to dominate the airwaves for the next 48 hours. The Cleveland Browns coaching search has officially hit a wall, and that wall is called the Rooney Rule. Now, for those of you who don't know, the NFL requires teams to interview at least 2 external minority candidates in person for a head coaching vacancy. It is a rule designed to create fairness, but right now, for the Browns, it has created a nightmare. We had Mike McDaniel on the list. He was the guy. He was the perfect offensive mind to come in here and fix this broken system. And what does he do? He withdraws. He looks at the situation in Cleveland, the cap space, the roster, the ownership, and he says, "No thanks, I'm good." He didn't even come in for the interview. So now, the Browns are stuck. They literally cannot hire anyone until they satisfy this rule. So here is the million-dollar question, and I want you to really think about this: who in their right mind is going to board a plane and fly to Cleveland, Ohio, for an interview that they know is a sham? Seriously. Agents aren't stupid. Coaches aren't stupid. They know that if the Browns are calling them now, late in the process, it is just to check a box. It is insulting. Nobody wants to be the token interview. Nobody wants to waste their time preparing a presentation for a job that Jimmy Haslam has probably already promised to someone else in his head. It is a disaster. Unless there is one candidate who has a completely different motivation. One candidate who wouldn't be coming to Cleveland for the job, but for something much more personal. Enter Coach Prime. Deion Sanders. Now, stop rolling your eyes for a second and follow the logic here. Why would Deion Sanders, a man with a massive ego and a massive brand, agree to interview with the Browns? Because his son is here. Shedeur Sanders is our quarterback. He closed out last season with those 7 starts. He is the franchise right now. If the Browns call Deion and say, "Hey, we need to interview you," Deion isn't seeing a sham interview. He is seeing a free trip to go check on his son. He is seeing an opportunity to walk into that building, look the GM in the eye, and say, "Fix this offensive line or you are ruining my kid's career." He would do it as a father. And let's look at this from the other side of the table. Jimmy Haslam. We all know Jimmy. He doesn't make football decisions, he makes business decisions. He makes emotional decisions. He gave Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed because he wanted to make a splash. He is addicted to the headlines. He is addicted to the ratings. Think about what the stadium looked like at the end of last year when Dillon Gabriel was starting those meaningless games. Empty seats. Apathy. Silence. Jimmy Haslam hates silence. He wants the buzz. He wants the national media camped out in Berea. So, imagine the dollar signs flashing in his eyes if he brings Deion Sanders in. Even just for an interview, the media coverage would be insane. But what if he hires him? The Sanders Circus in Cleveland. Father and son, Deion and Shedeur, running the Cleveland Browns. It sounds crazy, right? It sounds like a reality TV show. But ask yourself, is it beneath Jimmy Haslam to turn this franchise into a reality TV show if it sells tickets? If it sells jerseys? I don't think it is. I think Haslam looks at the ratings Deion brought to Colorado and thinks, "I want some of that." He might look at this broken roster and say, "Screw it, let's just go for the spectacle." And honestly, after the boring, stagnant, conservative football we have watched for the last 2 years, part of me, the crazy part of me, kind of wants to see it happen. But while we are sitting here dreaming about prime time, there is a war brewing in the NFC South that tells us everything we need to know about why we are in this mess in the first place. Baker Mayfield. The ghost of quarterbacks past. The man we shipped off like he was the problem. He just went on Twitter, or X, and absolutely unloaded on Kevin Stefanski. And folks, this wasn't a subtle jab. This wasn't a passive-aggressive like on a post. This was a direct shot at the man who used to run this team. Someone tweeted that Baker failed in Cleveland, and Baker lost it. He quoted the tweet and said, "Failed is quite the reach, pal. Still waiting on a text/call from him after I got shipped off like a piece of garbage. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach." Let that sink in for a second. Shipped off like a piece of garbage. That is how a former first overall pick, the guy who won us our first playoff game in decades, feels about the way Kevin Stefanski treated him. And he is right. I am going to say it right now, and I don't care if you disagree in the comments, I am Team Baker on this one. I have always been Team Baker. We made a massive mistake letting Kevin Stefanski drive Baker Mayfield out of town. We were told that Stefanski was the adult in the room. We were told that Baker was too immature, too emotional, too volatile. But look at the results. Since Baker left, Baker has gone to Tampa Bay and thrown for over 12,000 yards. He has revitalized his career. He is winning division titles. He looks like a leader. Meanwhile, what has Kevin Stefanski done without Baker? He has cycled through quarterbacks like they are tissues. He had Deshaun Watson playing the worst football of his life. He had Dorian Thompson-Robinson looking lost. He had P.J. Walker. He had Joe Flacco off the couch looking better than his $230 million starter. And then he had Shedeur Sanders struggling to find a rhythm. The common denominator in all of the failures over the last few years wasn't Baker Mayfield. It was Kevin Stefanski. It was his system. It was his arrogance. You remember the reports from 2022. Baker was begging for more play-action bootlegs. He was begging for easy throws. He wanted Alex Van Pelt to call the plays because Stefanski was so rigid, so stubborn, that he refused to adapt his genius system to the players he actually had. He wanted robots who would do exactly what he said, not playmakers who could create magic. And when you treat a guy like Baker Mayfield, who plays with his heart on his sleeve, like a robot, you destroy him. And the most damning part of Baker's tweet isn't the anger, it's the fact that Stefanski never called him. He never texted him. After everything they went through. After the 2020 season. After playing through a torn labrum for you. You can't even send a good luck in Carolina text. That shows you the character of the man we just fired. It shows you that he didn't view these players as people, he viewed them as assets. And when an asset stopped working perfectly, he threw it in the trash. That is why Shedeur Sanders struggled last year too. You saw the body language. You saw the press conferences. When reporters asked Shedeur about Stefanski, he was cold. He was distant. He's my coach. We're working. There was no love there. There was no connection. Stefanski was doing the same thing to Shedeur that he did to Baker, trying to force a square peg into a round hole, trying to make a dynamic playmaker into a pocket passer. It doesn't work. And I am just glad Baker is finally speaking up about it because for too long, the national media let Stefanski skate by as this offensive guru while he was ruining quarterbacks' careers. Now, Stefanski is in the NFC South. I don't know who hired him, maybe the Panthers, maybe the Saints, but whoever it is, God help them. But the best part is that Baker Mayfield is waiting for him. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach. That is a threat. That is a promise. Baker is going to have those 2 weeks circled on his calendar in red ink. He is going to play those games like they are the Super Bowl. And honestly, I hope he drops 50 points on Stefanski. I hope he throws 5 touchdowns and stares at the opposing sideline after every single one. Because sometimes, you need to see karma play out in real time. Baker was the scapegoat for Cleveland's problems, but now that the dust has settled, we can all see that the problems didn't leave with Baker. The problems stayed in the head coach's office until we finally fired him this offseason. So here we are. 2026, the Browns are a mess. We are hoping Deion Sanders saves us from a Rooney Rule violation. We are watching our ex-quarterback prepare to go to war with our ex-coach. It is the most Cleveland Browns situation imaginable. But you know what? It makes for great entertainment. I would rather have this chaos than be boring. I want to know where you stand on this. This is the question of the day, and I want you to blow up the comments section. When Baker Mayfield plays Kevin Stefanski's new team next season, who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for the coach who brought us stability, or are you rooting for the quarterback who was shipped off like garbage? Type Baker if you want to see Mayfield torch him, or type Stefanski if you think the coach was right all along. I know where my vote is going. We are going to be tracking this Deion Sanders news all week. If he actually gets on a plane to Cleveland, we will be live instantly to break it down. Do not miss it. Make sure you are subscribed, make sure you have those notifications on, and as always, go Browns.